Let's talk about cheating on the NCAA level. He says that it pays at present to cheat and that you don't necessarily you can't get called. What's your take on that?
Well, I've always been a coach that have been clean about the things I've done, and I don't ever want to cheat because I feel like this. If you ever cheat with a kid, then at some point he's going to end up telling it, or he may not say it, but he will say it to someone else. And I know Coach Bowlsby had a lot of time to look this over and just for himself to study it. But I don't want that to happen within our program, and that should never happen within our program. When you're at the University of Texas, there's so many resources available for you that should never happen.
But is he right? Is it an issue? Can you do it without getting caught if you chose to?
Well, it just depends on who the coach is and what really is going on. And it's so, you know what, I sometimes look at just social media and what's really happening with social media. It's when you do things, now all of a sudden it's so visible because everyone knows about it. And at some point, someone is going to post something that you did. And I know for sure what happened at the University of Texas.
Okay. Speaking of that visibility via Twitter, you have always been so strict in your policy about agent contact with your players. And then, what was it, just a couple of weeks ago, an agent posts on Twitter that he had dinner with 4 of your kids. How do you react to that?
Well, Skip, what we've done there, we've changed the policy because I know our agents had came in earlier and they was meeting with our players in their summer. So I just said, you know something, with this not happening, we're going to change this to the end of the season. Some of them didn't really like it, but there's nothing an agent can do for a player. It's nothing right now. The only thing he can do is just go get better and try to make himself marketable himself. And then we have to go coach him to make sure that he will become viable and become a good player.
So you made your kids aware this will not go on anymore? Dinners with agents before the end of the year?
Oh, without a doubt. Okay. It's a compliance issue, and that would not go on at all.
Good for you.
Stephen A.?
I wanted to piggyback. I wanted to get to you, Coach, because obviously you had an exceptional career at Louisville, going to 3 bowl games, 4 years. Winning 3 bowl games in 4 years, and the job that you did there was just exceptional. Congratulations to you. But I wanted to know your feelings, because I've never had the pleasure of interviewing you, your reaction to when you heard one of the Texas money men, Mr. Red McCombs, calling your hire a kick in the face, talking about how you would be a great position coach, etc., but essentially implying that you didn't necessarily deserve the head coaching job at Texas. As you've had time to reflect on those words, talk to me about how it hit you then and how it's hitting you now, if at all.
Well, you know what it is, Stephen A. I've had dinner with Red McCombs, and we have sat down and we have talked numerous times and didn't mind just sitting down with him and giving him an opportunity to really meet me and know who I was. It really wasn't a kick in my face. You know, people are opinionated. People are going to say what they're going to say. But at the end of the day, I just know this, how important that job is. And I have to go win games. And then if there's maybe a lot of people sitting out there that doesn't like me. But it's up to me to go change their attitudes and how they feel about me.
One of the other things I wanted to bring up is the guy sitting to your right. It certainly wasn't a criticism, but Skip made it a point to highlight the apparent difference in personality between you and your predecessor, Mack Brown. Very affable, lovable guy, media friendly, all of this stuff, because Skip pointed out to me, just winning at Texas is not enough. You got to be somebody that's working the alumni members, that's working the boosters, that's working everybody. How does Charlie Strong feel about that?
Well, you know what? It's a part of my job, and I have to do it. And, the best advice I got when I took this job, Stephen A., is someone said, don't treat that job any different than you treated any other job. I wasn't a head coach, but I've been at University of Florida. I've been at Notre Dame. I've been in South Carolina. I've been around Lou Holtz. I've been around Urban Meyer. I've been around Steve Spurrier. So it's not so much that I shy away from that. I just haven't had to experience it. And so now that I do experience it, I don't mind it at all.
Good for you. So your new motto has been, new motto has been, you're putting the T back in Texas. Explain.
Well, you're always looking, when you take over a program, just for something that you can just hang your hat on, just that niche. And everyone talked about just Texas and just the toughness. So I said,
so it's toughness that you're talking about.
It's all about toughness. Okay. But then when I say put the T back, I went from toughness to trust to togetherness to being a team. And the reason why I put team at the end was, in order for you to become a team, it starts with toughness. And not so much, Skip, a lot of times people talk, Stephen A., about just mental toughness and physical toughness. It's just toughness to go do the right thing. Toughness to go to class. Just go do the little things that we ask you to do. And then trust, teammates have to trust one another, but they can't trust one another till they trust themselves. And then you talk about just togetherness, just becoming together. And then you will become a team when you go from toughness to trusting one another. Then it's the togetherness, and then you develop into a team.
Stephen A., you got another question?
Well, I talk to me about your team, though, because they were 8-5 last year. Wasn't too impressive. We all know that. Big victory over Oklahoma, but I'm looking at the schedule. You got Oklahoma on October 11th, but it's not the greatest schedule in the world, at least in my estimation. I want to know what your expectations are for your team this upcoming season. You're first.
Well, I don't want to put a number on it because I like to see this football team go out and compete. I like to see this football team go play hard. I like for it to be exciting. I like for this team to just play with some enthusiasm, some passion. But the thing about it, when you look at this team, early on, it's very challenging for us. You go North Texas, BYU, UCLA, who's going to be ranked in the top 10, and then you get into conference play. Yes. But it's no number that I'm really looking for, Stephen. I just want this team to go out and just have fun, just to go and enjoy the game and just have fun playing the game.
How possible is it that your team is being underrated right now?
Oh, no.
Well, I don't know so much if we're underrated. I think that if guys don't play up to their ability and they can play much better than when you look at last year, an 8-5 record, and I just know this. I like our attitude right now, and I just like how hard we're working and just the direction that we're heading.